All right, welcome to Energy Boom 101. Couldn't resist introducing the episode, the dispatch, shall we say, with War's Why Can't We Be Friends, live here from Boom U, hidden somewhere on the prairies of the grand breadbasket of this glorious red, white, and blue country of ours, is this university. We call it Boom U. I'm getting ready to put you in the stationary cycle now, so prepare yourself. You're now going stationary. Because I can't handle this camera and read at the same time. And Energy Boom 101, the Confluence, is where we report the story of the confluence, which is too significant would be an understatement. Economic forces that are emerging, and that is the forces of crude oil and natural gas under the energy boom that's currently been going on for quite some time in the United States, and the forces of cannabis or marijuana, which is an emerging, I promised I wouldn't say budding, but there I said it, emerging, budding sector, brand new sector on Wall Street. And so that's pretty exciting to be able to sort of sit back and watch two energy booms, basically. One's the energy boom, the other's the green energy boom, but they've come together right here at Boom U in the form of a confluence, and that's what we're going to talk about today. Before we go any further, prepare yourself. You're getting ready to look through the lens of the transparent barrel. Here it comes. Oh, shit. See, things will never be the same, kids. Why? Because the confluence is where the optimism of the crude oil and natural gas industry meets the compassion of the cannabis industry, and they polish out this lens. This lens is being polished by those two forces, and you look through it right now, and now it looks sort of clear. Which would be a perfect time to bring in a little Johnny Nash. I can see clearly now. So if we actually do a TV show and this is the rough draft for it, I would say this is the time where you would drop in a little J Nash, street name J Nash. I can see clearly. And by the way, kids, we'd listen to the whole thing. We wouldn't fiddle fuck around with this 2-second segment of it. Things in life are worth waiting for. Every generation has to figure that out on their own. That's a little editorializing. Let's get back to the game here. But if Johnny Nash were here, he would agree with me. So what's the big story today? Well, what we're going to tell you about, you're going to see it right here in this incredible newspaper, the Daily Oklahoman, Saturday, March 1st. Go get it, kids! Is, of course, you go to the business section, and you know what we're going to do. This is going to be about crude oil. When we find an article about cannabis, we'll definitely share that with you, because that's the whole point of the show, which we try and do in under 15 minutes a day, which is impossible. But this, obviously, here we go, big article, business section right here. Chesapeake Energy. Chesapeake's midstream assets to sell for $520 million. Okay, let me catch you up here. Chesapeake Energy formed, I think, back in 1990, something like that, 89 or 90, by Tommy Ward, and Aubrey McClendon. They they developed the company and its assets, and you can, by the way, if you just want to take a look at this, just look at the history of Chesapeake Energy since they were founded. You'll see some pretty impressive share price escalation. But the history is that, I can't remember when, sometime in the last 5 or 10 or 500 years, I don't know. I think it was within the last 10 years for sure. After co-developing Chesapeake, Tommy Ward decided that he would leave the company and pursue other interests, and that ended up being a little oil company in Amarillo. I think, if I remember correctly, it's Riata. He moved it to Oklahoma City. He renamed it and brought in a whole campaign for Sandridge, bought about 2 million acres in the Mississippi Line, which is a huge play that's a traditional old conventional play. It's not an unconventional shale play. It's a conventional play that they're just going to drill horizontal, which is why they're going to get new life from it. And Mr. Ward recognized that the economic advantage to that would be to find a way to dispose of the water. He's put in a water disposal system. To make a long story even longer, as we get to the 5-minute mark, and the water, by the way, and you can hear the water in the background coming on here in the alleys of Boom U. To make a long story longer, Mr. Ward basically was ushered out of Sandridge about the same time that Mr. McClendon was ushered out of Chesapeake. All this happened about a year and a half ago. It's a fun story to tell because you can see how it's clearly orchestrated based on a pretty big press dump, and I'm sure who was behind it were a few big value hedge funds that were tired of of Tom Ward and Aubrey McClendon's antics and wanted them to move on. And they did. They successfully got that to happen. Here's what you need to remember, though. The assets. Think of this as just like the athletes that Mr. Stoops would assemble here at Boom U, and I'm sure that didn't give away Boom U. But just like he has to assemble athletes, Mr. Ward and Mr. McClendon assembled assets, which is just oil fields. And what you're seeing now are the hedge funds coming in and getting those assets that were gathered by Mr. McClendon and Mr. Ward, and they're now going to uncork them, basically. And so to make the long story even longer, let's also let you know that I'm going to tell you about Chesapeake because what you're going to get to see here is the story of the assets that Mr. McClendon and Mr. Ward put together under Chesapeake. Primarily Mr. McClendon as of recently because Mr. Ward was doing Sandridge assets. But the assets that Mr. McClendon put together for Chesapeake are now being reported on as they get sold. And so the beautiful thing here is that Mr. McClendon basically put together this package of a lot of talented athletes, and if you don't have room for your second-string players on the field, you sell them off as assets to the market, and you make tons of money. And that's what's going on here with Chesapeake. So this will be a fun story to follow for quite some time because we told you a few days ago that they announced that they would sell off their oil field services assets, which is just assets they had gathered underneath the umbrella of the Chesapeake Company. And the game you'll see is that Chesapeake, I don't know what it trades at, $25 a share or something like that. That's based on what the market thinks their assets are worth. But the market is going to change their mind quickly as Chesapeake sells these assets and shows them, hey, we've got a house here that's full of bedrooms. You guys are valuing these bedrooms at X dollars, and the entire house itself is selling for a lot less than the collection of the bedrooms, which is why here at the Transparent Bear we like to say, don't listen to a word we have to say because we've never earned any real credentials to offer this investment advice. But boy, Chesapeake would probably be a pretty damn good buy right now if you believe that they have hidden assets that they're going to bring to market and sell like this, and they'll continue to do that for quite a while. And their share price will go up considerably, and then it gets better because then the production that they get out of the actual assets that they've held on to, those will also, quote-unquote, surprise everyone, and that will drive the share price even higher because there will be investors that will be chasing a dividend yield based on production, based on actual earnings that are coming in consistently. It's a glorious game. You can see it happen, and that's why Mark Twain said that history really sort of rhymes. And he may not have said that, but I needed something to fill these moments here because we're only at 8 minutes past the hour, and I've been rambling pretty good. And we haven't even – you've got a good overview of what's going on with Chesapeake, but I haven't got to the juicy stuff. So here, I'm gonna go ahead and read this article now that you've got a nice picture for what's happening here in the oil patch as we shift into phase 2 of the oil boom, which is, I would say, is equivalent with the second or third inning of a baseball game. And the phase 2 is the actual harvesting of resources. The phase 1 for the last 2 or 3 years has been pretty much collecting the talent, and now they're going to bring the talent to the surface and see how well it runs its past patterns, so to speak. Watch this. Oh, shit. Hey, hang on. Watch this. Listen to this. Emo hobo. Prepare yourself. Emo hobo. Anyway. Okay, I'm going to read this thing. Chesapeake's midstream assets to sell for $520 million. Chesapeake Energy Corp. isn't wasting any time. I'm just reading this article right here from J. Marks. The Oklahoma City-based oil and natural gas producer said Friday it is selling some of its midstream compression assets for more than $500 million. The announcement came just 2 days after CEO Doug Lawler, remember him, kids, came here from Anadarko Petroleum, well-groomed by Wall Street, gonna uncork this baby, said the company would continue to sell assets that are not part of its core business. There you go. They have plenty of assets that are not a part of their core business that will bring big bucks. As they show this to the investment community, to the market will buy their shares because they will realize there's more stuff in the attic worth a lot of money that they need to sell, A. And B, they still will have their core assets that they will harvest for production, which will also drive revenue. Two-tier process here. Okay, let's get back to the game here. This is the article, by the way. The sale of compression units belonging to subsidiary Midcon Compression follows last year's sale of its midstream holdings. Chesapeake also is looking to sell or spin off its oil field services company. Yeah, bring in big bucks. So here comes the quote from, by the way, this is Chief Financial Officer, and this guy has a beautiful name, Dominique Delosso. I doubt I pronounced that correctly, and I apologize. It's a beautiful name. Here we go. Chesapeake continues to streamline its overall portfolio to focus on our core assets. I would almost read that again. It gives so much clarity for you long-term folks there. These sales are consistent with this strategy and will generate more than $500 million toward improving our balance sheet while having minimal impact on our 2014 cash flow guidance. So this is a wicked double whammy. They're selling a lot of stuff for big dollars that are in their attic, and it's not going to change at all their cash flow abilities, at least what they project. Now, reality has a way of creeping up on you. But speaking of creeper, by the way, that's our opportunity to bring in the Confluence here at almost 11 minutes past the hour here at K-Rig. We finally found a way to get a marijuana reference in there. Let's see. Let's continue here. Chesapeake has agreed to sell 103 compression unit serving systems in Ohio, Pennsylvania, and West Virginia. Okay, so they sold their Marcellus Shale stuff they developed up for $160 million. Access, formerly known as Chesapeake, has been leasing those units. Blah blah blah. Continue to understand that the overview here, kids. Chesapeake probably has a lot of assets that they're going to continue to sell, and it should drive share price. I call that a catalyst. And that has to be balanced, of course, against the long-term trends. Let's see here. We are pleased to announce this attractive bolt-on acquisition of compression assets in the Utica and the Marcellus region. These assets fit the midstream business model. Blah blah blah. Okay, now the good news is they're basically identifying here. By the way, this is the greatest pick ever. Wait for this. Here it comes. Energy team. Boom. Basically, they're identifying who the buyers are of Chesapeake's assets. Oh my God, perfectly timed to wrap up this dispatch, which covers Chesapeake's hidden attic treasures. We may call it that. The Chesapeake double whammy. We don't know what we're going to call it, but you're getting ready to get popped with the bells. Out of respect? Oh, not bad. Out of respect, we're going to probably sign off on a 3, 2, 1 boom. I think we'll call this a dispatch. I think it might be dispatch 93. Chesapeake. We'll start another one unless you think I can sneak in Oil Patch Jazz, because we haven't even got to 13 minutes yet. So what we'll do is we'll just get a quick look and see if I can find anything fun to tease you about in the next dispatch. Let's see here, and you'll have to bear with me while I sort of look through here. Yep, boom. Here's boom. Devon is moving into the Eagle Ford Shale. I love it. Get ready, kids. This will be fun. This story broke earlier. I remember we talked about it, but we'll do a follow-up to it because this is really interesting. This will show how you don't necessarily have to be the first in a hot play to do it right. And I bet you money, and never follow my bets, by the way. I'll bet you money that we are going to see Devon not only move into the Eagle Ford, they already have, but I bet we'll see them get some wicked production out of it. Anyway, that'll be what we'll talk about next time. By the way, I'm getting a little distracted here. Some of the mermaids are flapping around the pond. Well, so here's something. I have to mention this. Justice Department investigates Sandridge. Yeah, we'll see what happens there. Who knows? I wouldn't worry too much about it. We've got oil logs we're going to go into, by the way. But we're getting close to 14 minutes to the hour. So the next dispatch, we'll give you an update. Once again, doing nothing more than reading today's Daily Oklahoman and listening to the bells of Boom U and signing off with a... That sounded like Madonna's Starlight. 3, 2, 1, boom, see ya.